Risk and reward. Boy, are the two of those connected together. If you want to see a lot of reward in life, you got to take a lot of risk with it. Problem with risk is it's risky, and risky business sometimes leads into things going sideways and leading to outcomes that you would rather wish not to see happen, which is why we want to talk about asset protection planning. Hi, I'm Ben Martinek with Bona Fide Finance. And one of the things I think young physicians, but really physicians at any time in their life, don't always give due consideration for is that they have the great reward of high income related to the risk they took early on in their career to get to where they're at, going through medical school, residency, and ultimately becoming an attending. And so they've seen the big benefits of high income as a result. And then only high income leads to wealth accumulation. So good things are happening there. But usually the work that you're doing, it wasn't just risky to get to it. It was also risky work in and of itself, which means there's liability. What if something doesn't go the way it's supposed to go? You do your very best. You've tried to do everything right, but a mistake happens because you're human, just like the rest of us. What do you do to protect yourself in the event of a lawsuit? Well, that's asset protection planning. And the first item that you do, the best line of defense, is insurance. In your workplace setting, professionally, this comes as malpractice insurance. If you're a physician, if you work in the space like I do, it's called errors and omission insurance. It's all basically the same thing. The intent here is what happens if I make a professional mistake and someone else was harmed by that? How am I protected? Unfortunately, though, insurance can have its gaps or its limits or ultimately not be enough. And specifically to malpractice insurance for physicians, that is a rather complicated subject matter that needs an expert in that space to be able to give you the right direction and guidance. But the truth is as a physician, mistakes in the workplace are not the only place in which mistakes can happen. Just like all the rest of us, you can make mistakes, maybe just simply in driving your car, or mistakes at your house, like with maybe a trampoline, where other people ultimately, whether you wanted them to or not, end up getting hurt. And now perhaps you're being named or blamed at fault for this injury. And in those instances, people might have their eyes light up when they find out that you're a doctor. And unfortunately, we have a whole subset in other profession of attorneys, a whole subset of attorneys who love to kind of prey in on these sort of situations. It really truly is slimy, folks, and it's rather predatory. We got to think and speak of it rather directly as it is. Their intent is to get their hands in your pockets. And they are truly, without, I think, exaggeration, predators. So they're going to go after the weak and the innocent and the vulnerable, the naive, the people who are easiest to go after. So asset protection certainly starts with insurance and doing the best you can. You have the right insurance policies in place, but then it follows up with having additional strategies of asset placement or asset titling, because depending on the state in which you live, and states vary on this, so it really is like it depends on the state in which you live, how your assets are titled or where they are placed will decide how protected they are by that governing state's statutes. And so the right asset protection strategy to have in your situation really is like, well, where are you living or where do your assets reside? Because they may not all reside in the same state of your residence. You might have them scattered across the country. You can keep everything domestically held. And for many people, I think that's probably as far as we need to take things. But there are more advanced and complicated strategies as your wealth and income increases and becomes more involved. You can ultimately get into offshore planning where you're not just simply holding assets in the US, you're holding them in foreign countries, and then you're kind of playing judicial jurisdictions against each other on a country level. I can't speak much to foreign offshore planning. It just isn't something that's within my wheelhouse or in the need of my clients. But we work all the time with folks who need good asset protection planning between insurance, asset titling, and asset placement. As a fun tidbit for you, if you haven't looked at your auto insurance to look to see what kind of bodily injury on a per accident, per person level, along with property damage, this tends to be an area in which people consistently don't have sufficient insurance. So let's be sure to have you take a look at your auto policy as a media takeaway from today. But if you're looking for more guidance and help from somebody who can steer you in the right direction and show you what to do and help keep those predators at bay and make sure that they're not getting after your money, why don't you give us a call? I'm Ben with Bona Fide Finance, and you can reach out to us at hello@bonafidefinance.com. Thanks.